Okay, it's supposed to be really windy, like 40-mile-an-hour gusts today, but we'll see how this goes. You can hear me okay, but today we are talking slow motion on your camera. Yes, please. Buttery B-roll? This camera, the EOS-R, will allow you to get 120 frames per second, which is often overlooked with this camera. And also has some controversy around it because you're not getting full resolution or it's an older camera. But hear me out. It does limit you with a few things, like you won't have the in-body stabilization in the camera. So if you have an IS lens, that's going to compensate for that. So you'll have some image stabilization. You'll also be limited by only shooting in 1280 by 720. So you will lose a little bit of resolution, but here are some example clips that I was able to get, and they turned out better than I was expecting. So this is great for B-roll clips that you can add into your video to add that little extra spice, that little extra flair, or that cinematic sequence in your film. And I would say for filming longer clips in this frame rate, you're going to want to shoot on a tripod for your static footage, and just be careful when you're using handheld, or use a tripod underneath while you're filming, just to balance out the camera and smooth out those little shakes, or just put it on a gimbal when you're shooting in 120. But I know you're asking, John, how do I shoot in 120 frames per second? So you're gonna go into your camera settings and you're gonna see these two options, 24 frames per second or 50 frames per second. So to get 120, you'll have to enable your high frame rate option. So go to the settings menu and change your video system from PAL to NTSC. Then when you look at your recording quality, you'll see that you now have 120 frames per second. Now this also allows you to shoot in 60 frames per second in 1080 and 30 frames per second in 4K and 120 in 720p. Just remember to set your shutter speed, double your frame rate using the 180-degree shutter rule so you can get that natural motion blur. I cover all about how to set up your camera to film in manual mode in my tutorial that you can check out on my Skillshare and the link in description. You can learn about the best settings to use for filmmaking and more. A lot of times slow motion footage can help add to your main video by adding another layer that provides more context, depth, and visual interest to the story you are telling. It can be a break between scenes or show a passage of time before your next section. It makes your videos more engaging, and you get to add your own dynamic, keeping viewers interested and entertained. So now you can shoot in 120 frames per second on your camera. So get out there and create some epic B-roll for your film. Be sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!